And welcome back, everyone, to Finding Rachel. This is a podcast about a YouTube channel, about a documentary. Have you got it? All right, welcome, Mazzy. How you doing?
I'm doing beautifully, Greg. Chill 30-degree morning in Seattle with ice on the shrubbery.
I thought you were saying like you're chilling. And I was going to challenge you
Well, I'm
on that right,
chilling
right, right from the
way
get
more
go. I
than
was going to challenge you. What are you talking
yeah.
about? You're
I
chilling.
say
You're
there's
not
ice
chilling.
on the shrubbery, a shrubbery and the grasses and the rooftops across the street, and in these times it's kind of scary because ice is coming a lot of cities in America and taking people, snatching them away and deporting them. So that's
That
the
is
other ice. If you're,
That is a hot topic. Yeah,
yeah,
the ice in the morning and the winter is really beautiful. The ice that
yeah,
comes and knocks on doors is not so beautiful. I'll
right,
agree with you on that.
yeah. Some
Maybe we'll get into that. But
people will disagree with me, and that's fine. So,
Mazzy, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your channel, your relationship to Rachel's Ghost, and so
okay.
forth?
Well, my name is Norman Maslov, and that's my channel name. I think I originally hooked up my uh, channel originally because for 38 years up until a year ago, I had my own business. I was a photography agent, a photo agent. Commercial photographers represented a stable as many as 9, as few as 5 at a time, who did advertising, food packaging, catalog work, anything commercially based, car brochures and online things. And I was the promo marketing person. Prior to that, uh, in college, I worked in record stores all through college, and then I got a job working for a couple of labels, ABC and MCA, until they kept buying each other out to get laid off, to get rehired. And then I think it was 82 when my record career ended. And I kind of did a bunch of different jobs for about 3 or 4 years, and I met a photographer. Anyway, that's that. But when I started my YouTube channel, it was going to be promoting my photographers. And that's why my name is Norman Maslov. And the way the business thing happened, I remember for years I couldn't change the name. It's changed now with YouTube. There's certain business accounts you're kind of, you can only change it so many times. I don't remember the details, but I think now it's probably been 7 years now. I saw some vinyl channels, people showcasing records, and I made one video, and then I it's kind of got busy with work again and didn't make a second video till about a year later. And then I made more, and I've been immersed in music, even with all my other, like, I always consider myself an artist without a discipline. I love being around artists. I love being around musicians, graphic artists, photographers, any kind of, and I know a lot
Creatives.
about it. Well, I
Yeah.
know a lot about it, but I'm a bad guitar player. I'm a bad writer, all these other things. But I find I'm good packaging content
Hmm.
or my photography and promoting them. It's like the cliche Jewish agent, business manager or something, and it worked for me. But then obviously during the pandemic, the channel grew, and a portion of my channel, especially in the beginning, was sort of uh, well, it was biographical, autobiographical. I have a series on my channel called Confessions of a Vinyl Junkie, Memories of a Vinyl Junkie, where I talk about a year growing up in San Francisco. The perfect time, perfect place for me was psychedelia, the Grateful Dead, the
Hmm.
Airplanes, Janis Joplin, seeing these bands, riding my bike to Golden Gate Park when I was too young really to go to the ballrooms and clubs, and then just seeing them, and then the punk scene and everything else. It was a great time, a great place, and I amassed a big collection, and I continued with music my entire life. It never dissipated, despite even some friends of mine who kind of moved on and don't care about new music anymore. I'm fortunate to have a group of close friends who are into music. But the YouTube thing grew. And so I do that. Then I do random pulls and I do showcases. And
Yeah.
since my channel has grown, record companies have noticed, and
Hmm.
I get
And your audience has grown too, right?
yeah, I think right now I have about 38,000 plus
Okay.
subscribers, which is big in the vinyl community. It's small in the YouTube world of
Hmm.
where people have hundreds of thousands and millions of subscribers. So we're kind of a small community in the overall YouTube.
Hmm. And the other the other story here too is that you've been a fairly regular guest, right? Almost daily on Rachel's Ghost
Yeah, you know, it
TV
went
show.
it go more lately at the at the end of the show. I was on a lot more. I would be on usually maybe once or twice a week for a while, and then I would, like everything else, I would need a break to get away from the craziness of it. And as I said earlier, maybe I don't know how this is. No one's going to maybe know what I said earlier. I've met Rachel twice, and I adore Rachel. And her and I butt heads when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
I consider myself center left, but obviously some people on her show and other people think I'm far left. And the joke is, the commie, liberal, lefties, socialist, which is not a description,
Mm,
but I understand how people use that as fodder and
hmm.
say it. And I have friends who are Republicans, and I have friends who are on the right, but I have no close friends who are MAGA, which is kind of this fake news. Let's make it up as we go along thing,
Yeah.
from my
Yeah.
point of view. So I like Rachel's show, and I like it. It's a shit show in the morning, and I've enjoyed it. It's kind of like it's replaced when I used to live in San Francisco 10 years ago. Now I'm in Seattle. My buddies and I, when we could, even though we were all like a lot of my close friends were self-employed to some extent, so I had the luxury, I guess. We'd go to North Beach in San Francisco or another South of Market and go to a cafe in the morning for about an hour and kind of chat about music and politics and
Hmm.
art and photography, whatever it was. And Rachel's show is kind of that forum that I liked. And I think there's going to be a big void, or there already is, because even if you don't like her loud voice and her rants at the first 45
Sure.
minutes of her show, it's entertaining, and it's a community to get together, and it's
Hmm.
amazing when you think about it. I think Rachel and I are a good example of that. That we're so far apart politically, yet we get along actually so well.
Well, maybe let's dig into that a little bit, Mazzy. Well, first, maybe if you could talk a little bit about your immediate reaction to when Rachel closed her channel and what it's been almost a week later. Is there
Well,
anything new? Have you grown to a different position? Anyway.
no, well, when obviously the election and the inaugural had a big thing for a lot of people, and when the election happened and it didn't go our way, at least quote our side. And I hate to say our side, their side, but it's come down to that,
Hmm.
unfortunately, in the last few years, uh, since going back to the Obama administration, when the fake birth certificate shit, that's where he started it, from my point of view. Um, but election day, obviously, we were shocked, and I took a week off. I couldn't go on Rachel's show. I didn't watch it. I stayed away. But then I went back and would be on several times a week, 3, 4 times a week. And I took off. I didn't watch or listen on the inauguration day on January 20th. And the next day, I was going to take a few days and just take a break. I need to,
Yeah.
for my
Yeah.
sanity too. And then I woke up and I put my iPad on, and I think I saw the last 3 or 4 minutes of her show. And I was watching it, and she was ranting because there was people in the audience talking about Elon Musk. And
Hmm.
as a
This
Jewish
is
person,
the first hour of her show where she's solo, right?
political,
She does a
yeah,
political
yeah.
monologue. Yeah. So it's the
And
most kind of
apparently,
MAGA time
yeah,
of
and
the show.
people
Yeah.
this was the day after Elon Musk, for the third time, not just an accident,
Yes.
did the Nazi salute.
Yeah.
Now, no matter what you might say, what you might call it, and even if he's not a Nazi sympathizer, it sends a signal to a lot of people who do believe in those things. And so they react, and they can
Hmm.
react. And, we've seen responses from Nazi, white supremacist groups about that. Like, oh, we got someone up there for us now. Whether he meant that or not, that's what it shows. And and I think I saw a lot of people talking about it, and she was
On the
screaming
show.
about that, and a few other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But then
She
I
got
went in the
triggered by
kitchen
that. Yeah.
to make my coffee, and I went back to my iPad, and as soon as the iPad, the stream was gone. No, the stream was down. In fact, I pushed it play again and started at the beginning. So for a short amount of time, there was that, I don't know
Hmm.
how long it was on, 20 minutes, half hour. That's all she got to. It was up there. And I sort
The
of and
stream
I
is
didn't
still up. Yeah.
and so I went back to the last 3 minutes to see what I missed, and I saw the quick cutoff, and then maybe 20 minutes later or whatever it was totally gone. The channel was gone. So, um, I was surprised. I didn't reach out to Rachel for a couple of days, but talked to Rob and a few other people.
Is
But
that Mazzy? Can I ask? I don't think this is too personal, but did you just want to give her some space? She was obviously very uh frustrated, angry, whatever. When from what I
well,
saw when she took down the stream and
I
and closed the channel.
my
So
initial thing when there was like
mm,
buzz. We were texting each other. I have a group of
hmm.
we have a liberal text stream and a couple of text threads, and one of them was like, how dare her get so mad? We're the ones, the liberals should be the mad ones. I mean, we need time to chill out and to, look who fucking won the election and all the executive orders she
How
didn't
dare
approve.
you be such a
How,
bad
yeah. I
winner?
mean,
Is that what it is?
there's been more things for her to get upset about, and she does get upset, and that's fine. And I understand that with her. So to
Hmm.
get upset about the Nazi salute, or the response to the Nazi salute and the response to Biden pre-pardoning his family when
Yeah.
fucking Trump just let 1,500 people off who were in jail for not all violent crimes, but an insurrection. And I don't care how you want to defend it. It was an insurrection and they got away with that and they were pardoned. I mean, that's his prerogative to pardon that. So initially, I thought she kind of overreacted. Now, I don't know all the details. And in terms of the quick cutoff, there was all these nefarious theories about YouTube cut her off for talking about things like certain
Well,
things.
you were very critical of Rachel over the months and the years for her, to kind of paraphrase you, kind of embracing conspiracies, kind of MAGA conspiracies, far
Well,
right
all the fake stuff.
conspiracies. But now I thought it was really kind of, is ironic the right word, that right after the show was taken down, there were all these different stories or explanations about what had happened, and some were pretty wild and woolly, wouldn't you say? There's certain
Well,
irony. Is there an irony there? Is that the right word,
absolutely,
Mazzy?
absolutely. And my thing was, I mean, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, they YouTube shut her down and everything." And I
Yeah.
kind of I know Rob spoke with her, and I got the word that she decided she just got fed up and tired and wanted to retire and change the channel. Now, the quick cutoff, a couple things I was thinking about. First of all, she uses Restream and these things, and with Restreams and StreamYard and all these things, there's a
Yeah.
delay
Yeah.
with YouTube, and so sometimes it could look something gets cut off. And in fact, when you watch her show in the morning, sometimes she's learned to take a few beats when she presses go live, because a lot of times the first 10 seconds or whatever gets cut off, and she's aware of that. So it's the same kind of thing in
Mhm.
the end. She got cut off because she ended a stream, YouTube, however you want to describe that. The other theories, if you want to make shit up, it's like the end of The Sopranos. If you ever saw the final Soprano episode, they're in the bar or in the restaurant, and that Journey song "Don't Stop" and it goes black, and you have no idea what
Yeah.
happened with that weird guy in the bar. The other
Mhm.
thing that I was thinking about, the other conspiracy, which is more of an artistic thing, I think would be great. The end of Abbey Road on side one, "I Want You, She's So Heavy." John Lennon liked the idea of just cutting the tape, and that's why "I Want You" just ends. It
Yes.
doesn't fade out. It doesn't
No
uh,
subtlety.
end,
No
and
subtlety.
it's like
Yeah.
and it would be a perfect end to the documentary. Just cut
Mhm.
it. Like you don't like
I don't know
you
if I
don't need
have
an
that
end.
material. Yeah,
You
I
can
thought
get it.
about that. I thought about that for a while. Well, you know about this as much as I do, ownership issues and copyright. I need to look into that.
Well,
But yeah,
Rachel
no,
owns the
there is
content.
something.
Rachel owns
And,
the content, and she
and
might not have access to it, but there's videos out there, and it's almost kind of
yeah,
cool if it looks like a bootleg version of it at the end. So, like someone on the
true.
TV is shooting. Now, I'm not trying to be your producer or anything.
No,
I
no,
don't know
no,
which way
no.
you're going.
I welcome all critiques and suggestions. The film's not done yet, and this is partly why I wanted to bring you on today, Mazzy, is to talk about, what does this mean? Well, to get your take, to hear about how you're reacting to the end of Rachel's Ghost TV show, but also to talk about and think through how this might impact the story that I'm trying to tell with the documentary that's called the TV show. Anyway, just to go back a little bit in terms of all these all these different questions and stories that are being told about the end of this show that was on YouTube for 3+ years, right, Mazzy?
Something like that.
Yeah, is and this is a question that I put to both Sue and to Rachel when I was out in Nanaimo, because we did kind of what you would call like an exit interview, and a lot of my questions to them, I uploaded a short answer on my YouTube channel. If people want to check it out. Um, and they were all questions about the future, right? The future of the channel, hopes, fears, aspirations, all these kinds of things. And one of the questions I put to Rachel in particular was, would it be harder? Is it going to be harder, rather, to run this show with Trump in office? Right? It was kind of like, it was kind of like the Daily Show, right? When Obama won, he got the same question back then, right? Which is, can you still go up every day and kind of defend everything that's going on? And this is someone who's in Nanaimo as well. And Trump came in, and one of the first things he's been talking about nonstop is kind of taking over Canada, right? So there are a lot of there were going to be more issues popping up day in and day out that Rachel was presumably going to be confronted with. Is this at all? It's like the timing around this show stopping. Do you think it has anything to do with those politics, Mazzy?
I think the definitive answer,
Hmm.
and no one's brought up except for me,
Yes.
is this diet.
Dramatic pause. Let's have a
It's this
dramatic pause.
diet she's been on, the low blood sugar. She just couldn't handle it. She needs to eat a fucking hamburger or a steak or something and
Oh
get
my
off
God.
this low carb
So
kiwi.
okay, you heard it. You heard it here, everyone. Mazzy is offering the
Low blood
Twinkie defense.
sugar.
The Twinkie defense.
Rachel,
It's
eat
the
a fucking hot dog.
it's the Twinkie defense. You're a San Francisco
Well,
guy.
I totally remember
Come
the
on.
Harvey Milk, and
Oh
he
my
got
God.
off, and it worked.
It did. The Twinkie defense.
What a shit show that was.
And anyhow, so can we talk a little bit about one of the main themes that I've been developing, which, as you probably will remember, we talked about this when we did our one-on-one interview, is this tension between fact and fiction, not just on Rachel's Ghost, but on the internet in general. Also, in terms of the whole kind of troll politics that Trump himself is kind of forwarding, right? You're never quite sure. Does he want to take over Greenland? Does he want to, does he really think that Canada should be part of the United States, right? There's this kind of gray area that that seems to be embraced as a way of talking, as a way of interacting and performing on the internet, right? And on YouTube in particular. So depending on who you ask, some say, another way of looking at it, some people say that Rachel's Ghost was kind of a community get together, right? And some people are very attached to that, have very strong investments, and some of those voices have been coming at me, actually. I'll talk about that on another episode perhaps. And others say it was a show. This is more of Rob the Waxed really kind of amplified this point with our one-on-one interview, and he said, no, it's not a community get together, Greg. It's a show where people act out different roles or perform in a augmented sense, right? Play a kind of a nutty version of their own selves. And I'm kind of wondering where you stand on this.
Well, I kind of agree that it is an exaggerated version of ourselves on there sometimes. I mean, I think the reality, I try to be the real thing, and I'm an honest broker from where I am. However, I do have my moments, and there's been many of them that I get over the top, and I say a lot of foul mouth, shit ass things that I've screamed against Rachel and others and people in the peanut gallery that I never act that way outside of the courtroom, in a way, or whatever it is, the stream
Outside of
here.
the courtroom?
Yeah, well, I'm calling it the courtroom. I mean, I don't know if I can say things here, but I don't know how it came out, but I've used, you can cut this out if you want to, but
This is
I've
a
used
safe
the term
space, Mazzy.
cunt nose,
Yes, you
And
have.
and I've yelled it, and I don't even know where that came from. I don't think I invented cunt nose. It's a weird thing. It's just like two fucked up words together that make no sense. I guess you could find a sense to it. And yelling at it at some wanker that brings up some made up shit. And even though people don't believe me, I want compromise in politics in the world in America. And you know, I don't believe MAGA, not all Republicans. My father was a Republican. I have friends who are Republicans, but they're not MAGAs. There's been one or two that kind of strayed there, and we're not friends anymore, unfortunately, but um, aren't honest brokers. But I think these people that really love Trump like the shakeup and shaking up the system, which probably needs shaking up to some extent. But I'm a generation like even my parents' generation. I grew up and you look up the president is someone you look up to, even if you didn't agree with him. I was not a fan of Ronald Reagan's politics, but I got him. I
Mhm.
understood him. He
Yeah.
was a statesman. You know, even Richard Nixon, as much as we hated Nixon being my age and, the Vietnam War and the draft, even though that started, but, Democrats were a big part of that. I mean, I'm not giving the Democrats a total pass. And in fact, when a Democrat fucks up, usually they get pushed out. Where now with Trump, no matter what he does, he's done worse than any other person that's ever got passed out, and everyone gives him a pass. And like even Rachel,
Mhm.
and I about Rachel,
But and
all
I
this the
well,
fake
I
news. Sorry, the fake news
yeah,
about this trial. Well, he's a convicted felon. It's fact. I don't
yeah.
care. She'll make an excuse. They changed the law to go against him. He fucking broke the law. A trial happened. A jury convicted him, and there was theoretically more to. And he had favorable judges that pushed it aside. And he's the luckiest fucking man in the world.
Well, I guess just to bring it back to my question about kind of trolling or what people are calling troll politics and Trump is that and you heard this from a lot of MAGA supporters, right? When confronted by exactly the kind of the critique that you just raised, Mazzy, and a lot of them had an answer as follows: he's a businessman. He is himself. In other words, he is authentic, right? As opposed to what you just said and what many other Democrats, or perhaps those on the left, said, he's not genuine. Do you see
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
the way
Yeah,
I'm
he is a
distinguishing those
businessman,
two?
and it's been proven he hasn't been a very successful. He's been lucky on certain times. He's
Hmm.
gone and bankrupt more than any other businessman, probably in New York City. He, didn't pay certain contractors. A lot of people pay him 10 cents on the dollar, whatever it is. He just made the biggest increase for personal gain with this crypto coin thing, and there's going to be a lot of people, it's like a
Yeah,
pyramid scam, who are going to be fucked up and buying these $1,000 things, and more they're going to be worthless in it soon. He's a
but that's
scam.
all. Yeah,
He's a
but
And
that's his
people like that,
personality. Yeah, yeah,
but it's not, but it's the way,
and
it's
he's
the
being
fact.
authentic, right? Or people see that
Sure,
as
he's being
authentic.
authentic, and
So he's not being he's not being
he's not
contradictory.
No, but
He's
he's
been
not
doing this
trying to
for
do everything for all the people.
decades.
Now, I know you have to
Yeah,
compromise
yeah.
as a politician, or a good politician has to compromise, but you want to get things done. And, the biggest thing that I got pushback from Rachel's community there, and
Hmm.
Rachel herself, is when a year ago, 2 years ago, there was an immigration bill. Now, Biden fucked up on a lot of things. I'm not going to defend everything Biden did, but literally people forget we went through a fucking worldwide pandemic. Mistakes were made, but in my lifetime, I'm 70 years old.
People, I think it's more than that, man. People want to forget.
They want to forget, but
Yeah,
look what we went through. I
yeah.
understand why they want to forget, but we
Hmm.
went through that. Were mistakes made? Absolutely. Were
Yeah.
lockdowns were worldwide? America still has the best economy in the world. Inflation got away from us for a lot of reasons, but literally compared to the rest of the world, America is still up there. Yes, eggs are expensive, bird flu and other shit. All this tech money went in, and that's why we
Yeah.
sold our house in San Francisco for several $1 million, because a guy from Facebook wanted to buy it for several $1 million. And that means the house next door is worth several $1,000,000, and the
Mhm.
house next door, and middle class and can't buy a house in San Francisco anymore because of those
Sure.
things.
Well, talk about neighbors, community, friendship, right? Interpersonal relationships. Let's take that kind of that point that I was making earlier about an environment, a show where fact and fiction becomes blurred, right? Which was part of what was going on in Rachel's Ghost. I think you would agree with me, right? Um,
Absolutely.
um, so my question to you then is, like, can you ever befriend someone, or conversely, can you ever really despise someone on a show where fact and fiction is constantly being blurred?
On the surface, yes, but I think in most cases, no. The primary example is Rachel. I've met her. I had a great time with her. We
Mhm.
hardly talked about politics, but
Yeah.
which I said on her show a couple times. We sat up till like 11 o'clock one night here, her and I drinking a glass of wine. And my take, and maybe she'll disagree with me, and I've said it on her show, is that she's not really as MAGA as you would think she was. There's a little bit of a, oh gosh, Mazzy, I love
Mhm.
you, man. Type of thing that is not always there. But we got along, and we all that 4 days that Rachel and Sue were here, we didn't sit around talking about politics, and we got along. There was a guy a number of years ago who was a viewer, and I get people reaching out to me who come to Seattle or when I'm in San Francisco, and oh, I'd like to meet you. I'd like to buy you a coffee or buy you a
Yeah.
martini, whatever the thing is. And there was a
Mhm.
guy said, like, I just want to warn you, I'm a MAGA. And we met at this coffee shop, and he told me his daughter, his grown daughter, is a lefty, and he's not. We sat, I was going to meet him for 15, 20 minutes, and we sat for 2 hours talking. We had a great conversation. I like the guy. Meeting in person is different than on the YouTubes.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of what I wanna get at, right? Because in many ways, you are very much an exception in this scenario that we're talking about, right? Like, how many people have met Rachel? How many people have met you vis-a-vis or versus the number of people that we see in online discussions? It's got to be like, I don't know,
I've met a
probably
lot
10.
because
Yeah,
in
you have, but there's a lot of people who are commenting. Or let me put this another way. What I'm trying to get at is there are a lot of people who are very invested in you, in Rob, in Rachel, and other people who have a big presence on YouTube. And so I just find it intriguing, right? How invested, how emotionally invested people get in individuals like yourself, Rachel, and others who they've never met, and I've had folks say to me, "You, Greg, you just don't get it, right? You don't understand this form of relationship, this virtual relationship, you know."
it is a little strange because, like, yesterday, I on Sunday about noon, I went to this record. I was looking for a specific record, and I thought one of my locals will have it. They didn't, but I'm pulling in. It's one of the few record stores here that actually has their own parking lot. So I'm pulling in, getting in my car, and the guy's walking up to the street in Soto, and he just literally he's maybe a couple hundred feet away from me, and he yells out, "I love your videos!" And this is as he's leaving
Yeah.
the thing. And then I walk in the store and someone else said, "Oh God, someone sent me your San Francisco." Like I literally just walked in and I said, "Which one?" Because I make so many San Francisco video. And we chatted for 20 minutes. And, um, you know, I've met people just randomly in record stores and record shows, which
Hmm.
doesn't surprise me because that's the audience.
Yeah.
It's happened about 6 or 7 times though, totally random in public. When I was going to London, I was sitting in my seat in on the plane, before we took off on an aisle seat, and this guy's walking in. And he had a British accent. He goes, "Mazzy," and he sits behind me, and we started chatting, and so that's been a weird thing. But I've met a lot of great people, and I have a handful of new friends
Hmm.
because of my channel and YouTube. Some who are their content creators, some who are just viewers. I've had a lot of people come by, and if I have the time, I can't obviously meet up with
Yeah.
everyone. It's not like I'm getting,
Sure.
songs or
Yeah.
people. And it sounds, see, when you do this kind of stuff, someone says this guy has got a big fucking ego. When you're making YouTube videos, when you're putting yourself out there, you have to have an ego. It's performance. And but my performance, I hope, is real because it's about the stuff I know and how
Mhm.
I feel. And I don't,
Mhm.
I wear my politics on my sleeve, even though, in Rachel's, there's a segment of politics and people will complain, I didn't come here for the politics. Well, Rachel will even admit it's about religion, politics, music, uh, you know,
True. Yeah.
uh, gear. It's about everything. And that's what I like about it in the morning. Now, on my channel, I rarely do political stuff. I think I've made maybe out of the 1,500 videos I've made or
Well,
whatever
can
it
we
is
hold
now.
that thought for a second, Mazzy? Let's talk a little bit about friendship, and then we'll come back around to your
Yeah.
channel just to wrap things up because we just hit the 30-minute mark here. And I wanted to talk about friendship. So, yeah, you did. You're talking a little bit about meeting people that you don't know, people obviously that kind of, online. If I can pose it like that. Um, but back when we had our one-on-one interview, we were obviously talking about Rachel and who you said a number of times, many times, that you have a unique friendship with, and that's a word that you used. Um, but you also said, and feel free to say that's you want to revise the statement, but you did say when we met before, you said you've given up trying to know Rachel. What did you mean by that?
I don't remember saying that. I believe
No,
I said it. If it's on tape, I said it.
it's on
Um,
tape, Nazi.
it's not. No, I think. Well, if it, I'm sure it is. My
Mm,
point would have been if I can reimagine myself saying that is that I don't understand. Like for instance, on inauguration day, in his fucking inaugural speech, you have see this is where the divide thing comes in. To me, an inaugural speech or that is to bring people together. It's time. Okay, we had this election. People love me. People hated me. People voted for me. They voted against me. Let's bring America together. And he started talking about in America, it's now one man, one woman. It's kind of like Adam and Eve,
yeah.
or you have to be a male or a female. None of this mixed. He didn't, basically an anti-trans comment. And
Yes.
to me, Rachel being a trans woman, people of color, Native American, whatever. I love how she does that, and I appreciate that with her. But that she is the person that Trump's talking against. Having said that, I appreciate her because even as my liberal ways, I don't like this. You know, Everyone's has to step on toes. You can't do anything controversial or talk about certain people, and do you have to have four different whatever sex
Sure.
the rules from the liberal side get too much. I understand why they do. It's kind of like when people get upset for Black Lives Matter stuff. Wait a second, what about us white people?
What
Well,
about?
fucking us
What
white
about?
people.
What about? Yeah.
Yeah, we've had it forever.
Yeah.
So, do you have to go overboard maybe to get the point across? Fuck yes.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
what the civil rights movement was all about in the 60s, and it's still going on. And you know,
Yeah, I guess I just find it curious, and I have no answer to this, Mazzy, at all. But this is just something I've thought about over and over. The last few months as I've been working on this film is again this notion of online friendship and particularly friendship amongst people who have very different values, right? What it I don't know if I have that many friends who or at the very least that I can't have a rigorous, authentic, right, genuine discussion about our different view of the world or view of each other or the things that we've done in our lives or what's going on in the world.
well,
Um,
Rachel and I, not intentionally and not pre-planned or premeditated, we found our commonalities, and
mhm.
obviously the Beatles, a lot of music, and she'll even bring up when she talks about something, and I say that's my favorite one too. She goes, "Oh, my Mazzy and I yet again, we have more in common. The only fucking thing we don't have in common is Donald Trump and the
Yeah,
MAGA fake shit.
I
That
get the
is
co
it."
I get the commonalities. I just think it's a bit, man, it's where it's sad that that there is also a hard limit too, and I guess that's why I pulled out that quote that you
Hard
said
limit
before,
in
to
terms
a
of,
friendship, to a relationship, right?
I
The
don't see
when
it
you
as a
said,
limit. I don't see it as a
"No, you
limit.
don't see it as limit." Why not? That's
I'm gonna probably see her in spring. I'm going up to, Vancouver, and we're
mhm,
gonna be hanging out, I assume, and with Sue and her and some other people, and I don't see that. I mean, I have no like, I have a handful of friends I'm extremely close to that and they're all actually, ironically, musically interested for the most part, and they're local. And there used to be a thing when I first moved here. I kept hearing, "Oh, be careful, the Seattle chill, they chill out Californians and all this other," and I didn't
mhm,
experience that. Maybe because most people aren't from Seattle anymore, but very friendly and very, my
yeah,
friend Coffee Jewelry and Coffee Dave and Joey Callio now, who I met through one of the auctions, and
mhm,
we've become really close friends. And um, so I don't see that as a detriment. I mean, with Rachel, I she's funny, and but I have close friends too that I only can spend so much time with, and I don't want to mention any names, but I love them dearly. But there's certain people that I can take a road trip with, and there's certain people that I cannot. I
yeah.
probably couldn't take a road
No,
trip
that's a
with.
nice way of putting it. So all relationships have limits. So maybe I'm
I
making
think
a
so.
little bit too much out
Yeah,
of this
limits
one.
always sounds like a negative. Yes, but they
Yeah,
do. There's a yeah,
yeah.
there's a window or a
All right.
package. Yeah,
Why
limits.
don't we shift gears and kind of wrap it up a little bit
Okay.
here, Mazzy? I noticed that you have a new episode or series that you just started on
It
your
may be a
channel.
series. It's the first
You
communal
put
series.
volume 1, there better be a volume 2 or I'm
Yeah.
gonna be leaving
Well,
lots of
remember
nasty
there was,
comments.
what was it? Trying to think what it was. Oh, well, not the Traveling Wilburys, but there's some,
There's a
well,
volume 1 that there was no volume 2 for?
Bob Dylan Chronicles Volume 1. It's been what, 25 years, there hasn't been a Volume 2 yet. His autobiography. But yeah,
Maybe I'll do that with the film. What do you think of that, Mazzy? Kind of
Volume 1.
like
Well, there has been.
the TV show, volume 1.
There
Well,
have
I
been.
guess that gets into the question of, kind of has this the end of the Rachel's Ghost, is that how's that gonna impact the film? But before we finish on that, I wanted to talk to you a little bit or ask a question about this new episode, The Resistance, which seems to be your way of, creating a space to talk about political issues in the vinyl community.
The very few times I've made overtly political videos, and again, as I said, it's been under 10 of them. Now, obviously, people know my politics. I wear in my sleeve. I might do a little jab and a whack-a-mole or a little thing, but it's usually a one-line or a toss-off thing.
Yeah.
Um, but when I've done it, I always, at the front of me talking, and usually in the title, say warning political content. I want people to be
Trigger
able to not
warning.
watch, but that's
Mazzy's trigger warning. Yeah.
yeah, but it's a car crash. When people
Yeah.
see that, even if they don't agree with me, they're going to watch it. So I have it's overnight. We have 4,300 views, like 24 hours, and uh, the resistance is kind of I don't know. It just seemed like I believe in I love folk music and protest music and punk and I'm not a big hip hop fan or rap fan, but I believe in to me music is politics, even if it's sexual politics.
Jazz as well. Lots of
Yeah,
resistance
yeah,
in
oh,
jazz
and
for
yeah,
sure.
the resist yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and La Resistance, the whole French version of that, it's just a great, it's like a title of a movie. It could be the title of your documentary if it was a different story, and I just thought it was I feel like Paul McCartney. I had the title first and didn't know what I was gonna do with it, and I reached out to a few of my friends, and because we have a text thread, a liberal text thread, and I said, "Let's do a video on this," and uh, I had a few more people. There was four of us, and I said, "Let's just talk about music and politics, but let's base it on the music." And a couple people were resistant; they didn't want to, put themselves out there like that, and I
Yeah.
respect that. And it was funny. For about a week, we went. The four of us who were going to do it had a week. We're back and forth text, and I felt like, as I joked in the video, which you probably haven't seen it all yet, I felt like Jeff Tweedy of Wilco pushing the band to do this. And
I did see it.
no wonder bands split up. No, let's do this version instead. It was like that.
Yeah.
But at some point, you realize Paul McCartney and Let It Be and Get Back. Someone has to take the reins and make a decision. Otherwise, to me, it's bland, you
Yeah.
know. And the only rule that I said, or when I talked, I said, look at
So
I,
what sorry, what gets bland? Just the
if you
online VC thing?
if too many cooks, like, okay, if you're
Mhm.
renovating your house and if you're married or you're a couple and you hire an architect and the architect has to listen to everyone and make like the man or the woman or the gay part, whatever it is, likes this, and then this, he starts watering down the concept. To me, art, you need a vision. You need someone to drive it, and then everyone participates and does their point. You know, occasionally, with Lennon and McCartney, there are two like minds early on, and they had a vision. But
Yeah.
I'm convinced that otherwise, you water it down and it becomes bland and boring, and just too many compromises.
Yeah,
And
no,
it sounds
and I think you're right. I think
like a director.
within
You're film.
music, within art, politics is I agree with you.
It's totally
I
hard.
think politics is conflict, dialogue is at the center of good art. Anyway,
Well, the only rule I
a
made,
lot of good art.
so we
Anyway,
had this hour discussion, and the
yeah.
premise was we each pick 3 albums plus a song maybe, and it kind of, uh, goes beyond that a little bit, that are political to ourselves, that are represent the time we're in now. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be a political record. It can, in fact, one person showed an ambient record because he needed to chill. So they weren't all overly
Yep.
political. And in fact, I think a lot of people in the comments were surprised that, oh, I expected it to be a shit show. And the other rule that I made, or at least request, we never mention Donald Trump by name. This isn't a dump Trump hour. It wasn't going to be that. Chris, my friend Chris, the long cut, mentioned Trump once. It just came out, and we didn't call him. We didn't,
Mhm.
shine a light
And then
on
you
it.
all ignored it and moved on.
Yeah, we moved on. And it wasn't just about Trump. It's whether it's immigration, whether it's the
Mhm.
fires in L.A., rebuilding Los Angeles, and
I
the
No, I
deportation.
enjoyed it. I think there's something really interesting
I
there,
thought it was
Mazzy.
really calm, and
I think there's something really interesting
yeah,
there.
so we'll
Is it
see where it goes. We
Yeah.
want to do once a month, and one of my friend John did the gramophone. The last minute couldn't make it, so I did a little joke on him, which didn't turn out to be funny to some people, but that's fine.
Can you see, Rachel being on one of these episodes?
N-
Or is
no,
that
because
not part of the
he's
vision?
not the resistance. And there was one comment,
Got it.
and wait, and someone I know who I really like, who is more right of center. I won't mention his name, but he texted me and said, it wasn't really a fair balance. And I said, no, it wasn't. It was a resistance. That's the whole
Got
concept.
it. Yeah.
Now we're not going to dump on Trump every month. That's not what it's about. But I think, like the Vietnam War, there was a resistance, there was a protest stuff. Now, someone commented, "Does one song music's not going to change things?" No, but it's going to represent things. I wish more artists were writing about what's going on right now, and
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
some are.
Well, I think, yeah, I think we'll see things coming out in the months and years to come. Shall we wrap this up, Mazzy? One last question, and this is a question that I asked you before a couple months back. And given what has happened, transpired over the last 7 days with the Rachel's Ghost TV show coming to an end, what do you think the story of this documentary that I'm doing, what is the story? What should be what has it changed? How has the end of Rachel's Ghost TV show changed, do you think, the story that I'm trying to tell?
I don't know if it changed it. It might give you a better, not a better, but a reason to end it, because if it's an ongoing thing, it's you're doing a slice, a segment of someone's life in a way. Like, if you've seen, I'm a big fan of the new Bob Dylan um, biopic. A few people criticize. I think most people enjoy it and surprised by it, but it just shows a slight, like, moment in the time life of and you of Bob Dylan. You can't do 60 years worth of documentary in a 2-hour film. Um, but my greatest hope is how it ended suddenly
Mhm.
is how this new administration ends. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, you heard it here. Thanks,
And I'm not
Mazzy.
talking about nefarious, violent things. So don't, you know,
Good caveat. Good
yeah,
caveat. A dramatic just end. How about that?
yes. And
All
choke on a
right.
chicken bone or something. So,
Thank you so
probably
much,
shouldn't say
Mazzy.
that either.
That's quite an image there that you're leaving us all with. Really appreciate you taking the time out, help us understand what's going on in the VC, in a world after Rachel's ghost, and in a world where I'm trying to figure out how to end my documentary. Thanks, Mazzy.
Thank you.
Yes, they knew I'd be standing naked, and with the old duds now gone, I can come clean. This was not an ode to clothes or prose that's sacred. Babe, this whole thing was just a dirty trick to make you think of me naked. Seriously, though. Call me.